Hello, it's the end of October 2022 and we're getting our Airbnb apartment ready for the last time this season. We've been Airbnb hosts now for 5 years, so we thought we would share our experience with you as being Airbnb hosts, along with the help of a couple of friends of ours who are also hosts in this area.
Our first experience with Airbnb was in 2012. We stayed in an Airbnb place in the old town of Javier in Spain, which ironically is only about 20 minutes drive from where we're hosting now. From 2012 to 2016, we stayed at various Airbnb locations in Europe, lots of different types of places, and we loved it. We loved the experience. And when we moved here in 2016, we bought a villa that had space underneath to convert into a studio apartment for 2 people. So we launched in April 2017 and we found the Airbnb platform really easy to use. The Airbnb site makes it really easy for you to create your listing. They provide all the software, you just upload things to it. There we go. So obviously we've done ours. If you're starting a new one, then you'd need to complete the various sections. But the photos, very easy to upload. Listing basics, summary of the location, property and rooms. This is the info for guests page. This is your chance to summarise your check-in time, check-out time, how you interact with guests. Trip length. At the moment, because I'm recording this in October, our trip length is minimum 3 nights. However, in the summer months, we extend that, and you have the flexibility to do this. You can do it from here, or you can do it from the calendar. And in the location, this is your chance to showcase your property, where it is, what's good about it, what's amazing about it, I should say. With the amenities section, Airbnb prompts you for these. This is like a checklist, so you can tick things off. You don't have to scratch your head and think about all the things that you might want to include. Preview listing, and this is where you would look to see what it would look like for any prospective guest booking. Adam is a superhost. Oh, we know that, don't we? One of the big questions will be, how much does Airbnb charge? And the answer is 3%, with a few exceptions which are listed here. This is a screenshot of a summary page from a recent stay, and as you can see, the guest paid €207, which we received. The guest also paid the cleaning fee of €21, which we received. The guest paid $38.95 for their service fee, but with the Airbnb 3%, we only paid €8.28 to Airbnb, which we think represents really good value. The money is received in our account 24 hours after our standard check-in time. Calendar is a feature that we look at and utilise a lot. Because of the way it works, it does all the hard work for you. You don't need to worry if you've double booked or overlapped, because the calendar just won't allow that to happen. And our minimum stay in July is 5 nights. So where there's a gap, it identifies that there is a minimum stay and therefore doesn't allow someone to book, for instance, just for 1 night. The other thing you can do is block out time. So in this example, we had family staying. So again, we blocked it out, which then took it off availability on the Airbnb website. You can amend the availability of a particular day or week or month from the calendar. And there's also a space to put notes so you know why you've done it. You don't forget why you've blocked those dates out. You may have noticed on the previous slide that the April 2023 availability was kind of shaded in. That's because I'm filming this in October, and our policy is to allow availability 3 months in advance, which means now in October you can't book for April. You never know where you're going to be, so we don't want to take bookings too far in advance. Our check-in time is 4 p.m. and our check-out time is 10 a.m. As well as cleaning the Airbnb apartment, we also maintain the garden and the swimming pool. We obviously have the flexibility to allow guests to check in earlier if we're ready, or to allow them to check out later in the morning if we feel we can turn everything around in less time than usual. But in our experience, the steady back-to-back cleans we have throughout the season mean you really do need to allow plenty of time for every eventuality. In summer 2022, we had a real challenge that we look back on now with a sense of humour. However, at the time it was a nightmare. Although we have signs up asking guests not to flush anything other than toilet paper down the toilet, it turns out not everyone had followed the guidance. This resulted in a blockage, the arrival of specialists with detection equipment, 2 excavation sites in the garden, and the emptying of a septic tank we were told was biodegradable and never needed emptying, which is presumably why the builders covered it over with paving slabs on the patio. Phew. We survived, and the next guests were very good about the temporary cover to stop them falling into... Let's leave it there, shall we? Unbelievably, the following weekend, the hot water heater stopped working. Another comedy moment where we raced up to the nearest DIY place that was open on a Sunday, picked up the water heater, raced back, cleaned the apartment, Adam fitted the heater, and we were ready with big welcoming smiles literally 2 minutes before the guests arrived. We also allow our guests exclusive use of the swimming pool. So if we have a spare 20 minutes on cleaning day, we throw ourselves into the pool for a cool down. Meet our friends Roy and Greg. Like us, they live in Javier. Like us, they live above their Airbnb apartment. Their sleep's 4 and ours sleep's 2, but we share lots of similarities. We actually met them when friends of ours stayed in their Airbnb, and we've become good friends ever since. Lovely pool, hey?
There's a lovely sandy beach at the end of that road. One of the main reasons we close in the winter is because the big draw for our place is the swimming pool. People like to sit by it and relax in the sun, as you can imagine. And it can be quite cold and wet here in the winter in the Costa Blanca. Depends where you are and what type of place you're renting, but for us, our clients tend to come for the sun. It's not to say that you couldn't wear a bikini and go down to the beach any time of year.
Happy New Year to all our friends and family.
So our last booking is the 31st of October, and then we reopen again on the 1st of April. And that also gives us a kind of guarantee that we've got a place to ourselves, or we can go away. We don't have to be around to do the cleans and so on. Lovely weather for ducks though. Because we live above our Airbnb, we're normally around to meet and greet the guests, but if for any reason we're not around or the guests are arriving really late at night, we put the key in here. I know some places, we've even stayed in them with Airbnbs where you never meet the host and there's just a code and you put it in. That's a great idea, and I know that's quite popular. It's just that we live here, so we like to meet our guests. Hopefully they like meeting us as well. I'm sure 99.9% of guests leave your place in perfect condition. However, if they don't, there is an option with Airbnb within 14 days of the guest leaving to start a claim process to recoup some funds for extra cleaning or damage. It's changed recently, the way it works. We've only ever had to use it once, and it was a big decision. We didn't want to do it, but the guests had left really early in the morning. We'd seen them the night before and asked if everything was okay, and they said it was. I did notice that they had some of the bedding with them, and they'd just come up from the beach. And the next morning, I unrolled the bedding. It was filthy and wet. But also they'd burnt a coffee pot and then put that on the kitchen side and burnt it. So it was a big decision. We didn't charge them that much really, but it was just so inconvenient for us. And the main thing was, it was really disappointing because we did ask them if they were okay and if everything was okay. I think all our friends say the same. People break wine glasses, plates, and that's fine. Just tell us, that's absolutely fine. Accidents happen. I've just included a few screenshots which are from the Airbnb app on my phone, but you can do this on the web page on a laptop, computer, and this is basically the screenshots of how you would go about making a claim. I haven't gone through with it because luckily we only ever had to do it once, and that was so many years ago. But if you did, then Airbnb do make it straightforward for you.
Anyone who's been to Spain will recognise the alley hop shop and the iconic cow. And for some reason, the Javier one on the Arenal has 2 cows. And I am talking about the models at the door, by the way, not me and Adam. We met up with Greg and Roy, one of our favourite restaurants on the Arenal, for a chat and a catch-up. They're laughing and smiling now. Wait till I tell them they've got some work to do for my Airbnb film, and I'm going to film them as well. Cheers everyone, or salud as they say in Spain.
I think the most important thing is to put yourself in the shoes of a person that is going to book your property. So you want to list it in such a way that if you were looking, you would be attracted to that property. So that often involves making the thing quite personal, so you want some information about yourself in there. So in our case, Greg and I got a photograph of ourselves holding our 2 dogs. We talk about what we love about the area and why we live in Spain. And I think that's one of the reasons why we tend to attract like-minded people to our property. It's in the description, and it's quite clear that people that we talk to, when they come and visit us, they were attracted by the description of the property. I think that's the most important thing.
A number of reasons. One of them is we're on several booking sites, and even though we sync all our bookings, sometimes a booking doesn't get synced onto another booking website. So rather than run into problems with double booking, that's one reason. And the other reason is we do find we have a lot of guests who don't read the description properly of the property and try to book with, for example, they're going to bring their 2 dogs with them, even though we have a no pets policy written in the description. So we prefer to pre-approve rather than give out instant booking.
Like Greg and Roy, we also have pre-approval. Although we have children and grandchildren of our own, unfortunately our apartment is not suitable for young children or babies. That is stated in our listing. However, sometimes people do ask if they can bring a child or a baby, and we feel it's better to say no before they've actually gone ahead with the booking. That would be disappointing for them. And the other thing is, I'm allergic to animal fur, mostly dogs and horses. And although so far no one's asked to bring a horse on holiday, a lot of people have asked if they can bring their dog. Unfortunately for me, that would set off all sorts of unpleasant sneezing and wheezing. And the other thing is, of course, that means that our listing is also suitable for anybody else that might have animal allergies.
Right, breaking something and then hiding the evidence.
Thank you. Greg?
When the guests decide to party all night.
Thank you. Adam?
Keep the aircon on when you go out.
Okay. And mine was damage or break something and then check out without saying anything.
Oh, exactly what
Mine is the website, ease of use and great. What I said, it's back to front, but that's what I said. Hey Adam, your favourite?
easy.
Thank
That's
you.
everything.
Nice answer, like it. Greg?
Airbnb's website is very streamlined and easy to use.
Perfect, thank you.
I like the Superhost feature. We get better bookings by getting good rankings.
And talking of Superhosts, within Insights there is a Superhost page, and basically Adam has achieved Superhost status, and it says here every 3 months we check you've met Superhost criteria for the past year. If you do, you maintain your Superhost status. And if we click in here, there's a coupon that you can use, and for us it's $100 from an Airbnb stay, and we've had these before and we've not used them, which is a shame. We should use these, make sure we make the most of it.
You need to comply with the local laws and regulations, and in our case that meant getting a tourist license.
Our most recent guests checked out this morning, and Airbnb have prompted us to do a review. The guests and the hosts have 14 days to complete their review, and even if one of them doesn't do it, the other one's review will be published. So I'm going to get started, and we were lucky because the last guests were very clean, very tidy. Their communication was excellent, and they were very polite and very respectful. So luckily we can give them 5 stars for everything there. On to the next page, public review. It's useful for future Airbnb hosts to be able to look back and see reviews if they have a request from guests to stay. So for the couple that checked out today, I have said that they're lovely people. They also looked after Casa Lola really well, and I always like to say thank you for that. It's much appreciated as hosts, as you will know. And then I usually summarise with saying that we would recommend them to other Airbnb hosts. This can also be done on the phone, by the way. It's really easy on the app. So next, write a private note. Great to you both. So here I've just done a friendly thank you, basically. This is a personal one that is just between you and the guests. So that one can go forward for submission. And finally, the big question, would you host Alberto again? This is a definite yes here, and you submit your review. There is a question, I think, on what happens if you put no, if you say you wouldn't host those people again. I've looked at forums and there doesn't seem to be a conclusive answer. Somebody may know that now, but we're not sure if they just don't see your listing, or if they can, but when they try and book it doesn't work. We're not really sure what happens. And of course the other thing is they could use another account. If their partner has an account, they could use that, so they could still book with you, I think, but don't know. We don't really know the answer to that.
Something that's a bit more comfortable than that is the Airbnb earnings page, which allows you to filter against a whole year, a month, or a specific time frame. That's really useful to help you align against your individual country's tax year. Are we nearly there yet? Yeah.
We know that at the end of every stay, guests and hosts are invited to leave feedback on each other, but we thought it'd be good fun to leave our feedback on Airbnb. So, with the help of some homemade wonky stars and our friends Greg and Roy, we thought we would give our overall feedback on Airbnb.
Turns out that our experience with Airbnb and the type of property that we have and the number of guests is good and not ugly.
Also, Javier can be surprisingly, what's happened to my hair? You're going to start drilling? Roy, what advice would you give someone when preparing their Airbnb listing?
Shush! We're trying to record and you keep talking. All right. Take three.
Two reasons mainly. One is that I've forgotten.
Vamos. Gracias.